Hello all you freedom-loving people. SpaceX's Crew 10 successfully docked the International Space Station to retrieve the two stranded astronauts, and Kari Lake gutted the government-funded media. Okay, let's get into it. Early Sunday morning, SpaceX's Crew 10 docked at the International Space Station to finally retrieve the two NASA astronauts who have been stuck in orbit for months. Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore have been stuck on the International Space Station since June due to their Boeing Starliner encountering a litany of issues preventing their return.
It seems like we do have the first Crew 10 Onishi, the first Crew 10 astronaut through the hatch, followed by Peskov, Nicole Ayers, the first of the Fly's newest class of astronauts to enter, and last, commander of Crew 10, Anne McLean.
And then an alien got into the International Space Station. Of course, it's not really an alien. It's Russian astronaut Ivan Wagner wearing an alien mask, who says astronauts can't have a sense of humor. American astronaut Butch Wilmore greeted the arriving crew members. He said, "It was a wonderful day. Great to see our friends arrive. Thank you so much." Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams had only planned to spend 8 days on the International Space Station, but a series of problems with their Boeing Starliner, on which they were expected to fly back, left them stranded in space for more than 8 months. Wilmore and Williams are scheduled to leave the International Space Station as early as 4 a.m. Wednesday. We wish them a speedy reunion with their loved ones. Walking with Elon Musk's little son, President Trump wrote the letter X in the air in case reporters didn't recognize the little star.
President Trump! President Trump! President Trump! President Trump! President Trump! Just for a minute! President Trump, just for a minute! Just 1 minute! President Trump, for a minute!
President Trump took X with him on Marine One. And like father, like son. Everyone's attention was drawn to little X, so little attention was paid to the fact that President Trump gave an important speech at the Justice Department that day before heading to Marine One. In his speech, President Trump accused the Justice Department of conspiring with the media. He said that newspapers and television networks acted as paid political agents to influence the judge's ruling. In addition, President Trump criticized mainstream media outlets such as CNN and MSNBC for inciting the public to pressure judges and to influence judicial decisions. He labeled the allegations against him as bull and lashed out at prosecutors and FBI agents, calling them evil and scum. According to President Trump, the ceasefire meeting with Russia was very productive. President Trump said on Truth Social, "From there, things went quickly and efficiently, and all signs seem to be, hopefully, very good." In an interview on Sunday with CNN, President Trump's foreign envoy Steve Witkoff said that Putin accepts the philosophy of President Trump. Witkoff said that both leaders are likely to speak again this week. So it looks like a ceasefire agreement is not too far away. But right now, the fighting continues on the Russian-Ukrainian border. And also because of President Trump's post on Truth Social on Friday, we know that there are still thousands of Ukrainian soldiers under siege in the Kursk region. Their lives are still in danger at any moment. So President Trump hopes that President Putin will spare their lives. President Putin responded to President Trump's request that Russia not kill the Ukrainian soldiers in its western Kursk region if Ukraine orders them to surrender. Putin said, "In this regard, I would like to emphasize that if the Ukrainian troops lay down their arms and surrender, they will be guaranteed life and decent treatment in accordance with international law and the laws of the Russian Federation. To effectively implement the appeal of the U.S. president, a corresponding order from the military political leadership of Ukraine is needed for its military units to lay down their arms and surrender." However, President Zelensky denied that Ukrainian troops were surrounded by Russian troops in the Kursk region. Zelensky said that the units are carrying out their tasks exactly as required, and they are continuing to repel Russian and North Korean troops. The Ukrainian military has also stated that Russia is lying in order to give people the wrong impression. The Ukrainian military said, "Reports of the alleged encirclement of Ukrainian units by the enemy in the Kursk region are false and fabricated by the Russians for political manipulation and to exert pressure on Ukraine and its partners. There is no threat of encirclement of our units." They also said that its units in Kursk have successfully regrouped after Russia's offensives and withdrawn to more advantageous defense positions. So it's not clear which of these two diametrically opposed messages is accurate. The Financial Times interviewed a Ukrainian soldier, Artman Karyakin, who was involved since the early days of the Kursk operation. He said that Ukraine had at one point captured about 1,300 square kilometers of territory when it raided Kursk. But then the area that was guarded by the Ukrainian army became a narrow wedge. The Russians then advanced on three sides to encircle the Ukrainian forces, making it difficult for them to defend. At the end of last December, the Ukrainian army was left with one sole supply route. Karyakin says the Russians had never been to that route before, which meant that the Ukrainian army's logistics in Kursk were finished. Karyakin says that by February of this year, the situation was getting worse and worse since the Russian encirclement of the large Ukrainian-held city of Sudzha in the Kursk area intensified, and the Ukrainian army had stepped up its retreat. He said the chances of a successful evacuation are 50-50, and it's a pity that not everyone was lucky enough to get out. The only road was constantly under Russian fire, and the backup paths were not only muddy, but often hit by artillery fire. Karyakin did not abandon his fellow soldiers after his withdrawal, though. He continued to travel daily to and from the Kursk front to assist in the evacuation of the Ukrainian soldiers. As the main roads were often covered by Russian fire, many of the Ukrainian soldiers were forced to walk dozens of kilometers before they could board Karyakin's trucks for evacuation. And an influential Russian telegram channel recently published an analytical article that validates Karyakin's claims. And according to the Military Observer, the reality is that the Ukrainian army is retreating due to the breakdown of logistical supply lines rather than being fully encircled. The article in the Military Observer claims that the evidence available so far suggests that the captured UAF personnel were captured in groups or individually. Apparently, those soldiers were left behind to cover the withdrawal of the main forces, or they were isolated in places after the destruction of bridges and logistical routes. The channel said that Ukrainian soldiers were still able to leave the Kursk region on foot through forests and fields. This means that the Russians never formed a complete physical encirclement. And a defense blog noted that the channel is known for being quite close to the Russian military, and it has published maps of actual Ukrainian military deployments, so the channel is quite authoritative. From this information, it's clear that Ukrainian soldiers are in great danger. However, it would be inaccurate to say that the Russian army surrounded the Ukrainian soldiers to the extent that not a single one of them could escape. Of course, in modern warfare, physical encirclement is rare. Especially for large areas, it's usually a combination of air defense and ground troops to form a relatively complete siege. So we cannot say that the official Ukrainian claim is wrong, but the Russian claim is also basically correct. At this point, it's very difficult to confirm the news from the Ukrainian battlefield. And in addition to the language barrier, there is limited independent media coverage of the war. The The same applies to reports about Russia. Even if there might be a report once in a while, we do not know whether it is trustworthy. For example, multiple media outlets reported that Vladimir Putin kept President Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, waiting for 9 hours before receiving him, but President Trump declared there was no wait whatsoever. That's why the Trump administration has also begun to clean up the U.S. government-funded media. Kari Lake, the top officer of the U.S. Agency for Global Media, the USAGM, ordered most of her staff to take paid administrative leave starting Saturday. On Saturday, the USAGM issued a statement on significant downsizing of the organization. The statement mentioned 5 alarming findings that are related to the agency. Number 1, massive national security violations, including spies and terrorist sympathizers and/or supporters who are infiltrating the agency. Number 2, eye-popping self-dealing that is involved in contracts, grants, and high-value settlement agreements. Number 3, obscene overspending that includes a nearly $250 million lease of a Pennsylvania Avenue high-rise that has no broadcasting facility to meet the needs of the agency, and overspending that includes a $9 million commission to a private real estate agent. Number 4, hundreds of millions of dollars was being spent on fake news companies. Number 5, there is a product that often parrots the talking points of America's adversaries. The USAGM statement said this agency is not salvageable. All full-time staffers at the Voice of America and the Office for Cuba Broadcasting were affected. Michael Abramovich, the current director of Voice of America, confirmed in a lengthy LinkedIn post on Saturday that nearly all of his staff, more than 1,300 reporters, producers, and support staff, have been placed on administrative leave, including himself. Grant Turner, the former CFO at the USAGM, called it Bloody Saturday for the agency and its networks. The USAGM and Kari Lake issued a press release on Saturday saying that the agency is not salvageable. The press release said, from top to bottom, this agency is a giant rot and burden to the American taxpayer, a national security risk for this nation, and irretrievably broken. While there are bright spots within the agency with personnel who are talented and dedicated public servants, this is the exception rather than the rule. Voice of America has come under scrutiny for promoting biased content, including for allegedly sanitizing Hamas. Just days after Hamas attacked Israel on October 7th, 2023, Voice of America told its employees to avoid calling Hamas and its members terrorists, unless in quotes. This is what the National Review reported. A senior White House official told Fox News Digital, Voice of America has been out of step with America for years. It serves as the voice of radical America and has pushed divisive propaganda for years. In addition, the agency has severed all contracts with the Associated Press, Reuters, and Agence France Presse for the international broadcasters it funds, including Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Radio Free Asia, and the Middle East Broadcast Network. Kari Lake said, "We should not be paying outside news organizations to tell us what the news is. With a nearly $1 billion budget, we should be producing news ourselves, and if that's not possible, the American taxpayer should demand to know why." In another social media post, Kari Lake said that she is in a fact-finding mode, and she said, "Boy, am I finding a lot of nonsense that the American taxpayer should not be paying for." And as the Trump administration is dealing with a number of issues at lightning speed, there's a lot going on recently. On Sunday, the Trump administration sent about 250 Venezuelans who were accused of being members of the Tren de Aragua gang to a prison in El Salvador. This came after President Trump signed a proclamation on Saturday that invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 in order to speed up the deportation of accused Tren de Aragua gang members. The administration agreed to pay El Salvador $6 million to hold roughly 300 alleged members of the gang, as well as 2 alleged members of the MS-13 gang in its prison for a year. Salvadoran President Bukele posted a video on X announcing this news. The video showed agents leading men in handcuffs off a plane at night and into a prison. And on Sunday, President Trump also gave an update on the release of the Epstein files during an interview with Cheryl Atkinson.
A lot of intrigue surrounding the release of the Epstein files, Martin Luther King files, John F. Kennedy files. Some current and former FBI agents are saying, some of them telling me, that they feel the FBI establishment came out ahead in the standoff sort of with the New York FBI field office over releasing the records, and your Attorney General Pam Bondi demanding them but not getting all that she wanted. Is that process still on track? I think that's one of the most often questions I've been asked the last couple of days, to release these records on Epstein, MLK, and JFK.
Well, Pam Bondi's done a phenomenal job in every respect, and there could have been some holdback. I haven't heard too much about it, but they could. But the bottom line is the records are getting out. The Kennedy records are getting out. Those are the ones I really wanted to see the most, with the Kennedys. And during my administration, as you know, I released a lot of them, but then a lot of people started coming in, people that I respected, people that worked for the administration, asked me not to release the rest. And I respected that. They gave me certain reasons, but I respected that. And I did say, I must tell you, I said that probably wish I did release the whole thing, because I have no idea what's in there. But since then they found, and we found 2,000 more documents on Kennedy. And the one they want most is Kennedy, and it's going to be released. It's moving along, and it's moving along pretty rapidly. It doesn't go that rapidly.
Weeks maybe, or longer?
I say weeks, yeah, I say weeks.
And on Saturday, President Trump ordered the U.S. military to launch a decisive and powerful action against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz said on Sunday that the strikes had resulted in significant blows to its leadership. Waltz said that with the strikes, they hit the Houthi leadership, their infrastructure, and missiles. Pete Hegseth also responded to the news during an interview on Fox News.
They were allowed for over 100 times to shoot at U.S. ships, to shoot at commercial shipping. 4 months ago, when we sent a ship through, it was shot at 17 times. Ships haven't been able to go through for over a year without being shot at. Freedom of navigation is basic. It's a core national interest. And President Trump has said, we will restore that, and we will be unrelenting. I want to be very clear. This campaign is about freedom of navigation and restoring deterrence. The minute the Houthis say, we'll stop shooting at your ships, we'll stop shooting at your drones, this campaign will end. But until then, it will be unrelenting. We got the reports last night, Maria. The Houthi capital felt like an earthquake. Dozens and dozens of precision-heavy munitions dropping precisely on the targets that we wanted to hit, sending a very clear message. And the message is clear to Iran as well. And the president said it in his truth. Your support of the Houthis needs to end immediately. We will hold you accountable as the sponsor of this proxy. And I echo his statement. We will not be nice about it. This is not the Biden administration. The message is clear. We will come after the Houthis until they stop shooting at our ships, and the Iranians better stay out of it.
Then, today, President Trump warned Iran that it will be punished if its Houthi allies in Yemen retaliate against the strikes. President Trump wrote on Truth Social, every shot fired by the Houthis will be looked upon from this point forward as being a shot fired from the weapons and leadership of Iran. And Iran will be held responsible and suffer the consequences, and those consequences will be dire. Other news today, Dan Bongino was officially sworn in as Deputy Director of the FBI. After his swearing-in ceremony, Bongino paid his respects at the Wall of Honor, honoring the brave members of the FBI who made the ultimate sacrifice and paved the way in the pursuit of justice and security. And before his first meeting at the Kennedy Center today, President Trump announced that the JFK files will be released tomorrow.
We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this, and I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard, And that's going to be released tomorrow.
And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. Please remember that every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you have already subscribed, we thank you. But please double check to make sure that you're still subscribed, because some of our audience have reported that they're somehow unsubscribed without their knowledge. We've also heard that many of you don't get notifications of our videos anymore on YouTube. So when you do subscribe on YouTube, please make sure to tap the notification bell as well. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family, because everybody deserves to know the truth.